Hello, welcome back to the channel. We are going to be talking about favorites, a couple of fails, and some thoughts that I have on all of the new makeup that I've tried over the past month or so. There's been a lot of a lot of new makeup. I can't emphasize that enough. So much so that I was actually trying to squeeze one more video in before I did this one, and I thought, let me just give it a breather. But just to give you a little teaser as to what's coming up, I did order the Chantecaille Real Bronzes. They've come out with, I guess, new versions. Definitely one new shade. They still have Serena. They used to have Goa, now they have Soleil. I don't know if the formulation has changed. The packaging has changed a little bit. It looks the same. It looks like a baked gel powder. So anyway, we're going to be trying this out over the next week. And I did also get the Lisa Eldridge Marilyn Monroe like anniversary collection. So I really want to try that as well. I'm sure other things will pop up. In fact, actually, Sisley did come out with new versions of their Orchid Highlighting Blush. I ordered one of those off of Nordstrom. So when that comes in, I'll be filming that, all of those things, and that'll be a new video. So stay tuned for that. Definitely subscribe down below if you're interested in new makeup, in makeup in general. My goodness, there's been so much. Okay, let me jump into this because there is a lot of stuff. Even though I tried to whittle it down, there is plenty of stuff for me to go over. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. What I like to do when I talk about my favorites is apply as much of it to my face as possible. So I'll do cutaways to that B-roll of me applying the makeup so that you can see it in action. Otherwise, I'll just be holding it up, talking to you guys, talking to my friends out there. So let's go ahead and start with foundation. So YSL released a cushion foundation, which I could not have been more excited for. This is the YSL Skin Affair Soft Glow Cushion Foundation, and I'm using the shade LC 1.5. It is gorgeous. I do really love, like, I'm a longtime fan of cushion foundations. I just think that they look really gorgeous on the skin. They do this thing where they obviously have coverage, and you'll see that as I'm applying this cushion foundation. They obviously have quite a bit of coverage, but they don't look very heavy on the skin, and they make your skin look so soft and supple and creamy. So it perfects your complexion in such an interesting way. It's not just about coverage. It's not just about evening out your tone or the coloring of your skin. It really, for me, the benefit of a cushion foundation is really just how the texture and the pliability of your skin comes across. I really just feel like it just looks so much more plump and juicy. Yeah, it's just such an interesting phenomenon. And there's also something about cushion foundations. I feel like they really meld. You know, they don't just like set down or whatever, they meld to your skin where it just really becomes virtually seamless on your skin. So this formula is incredible. I like this shade for me. If you use me as a shade reference, LC 1.5 is really great. If you do want more of a match to like your forehead or whatever, maybe one shade up. And the finish of this cushion foundation, which I think is a little bit different from other cushion foundations I've used. So other cushion foundations I've used, like the Sisley or the Chantecaille, they have a little bit more glow to them, which, yes, normally that would be my thing. And I do love those cushion foundations. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, and you guys have heard me say this for the past few videos, I've really been getting more into this skin-like finish where I'm not necessarily glowy. I just look very blurred and very velvety. And this isn't exactly matte in that way, but it just doesn't have as much glow as other cushion foundations. So I just find that it just gives me this illusion of having this like blurred filter over my face, and it's really nice. And I think it's also quite perfect for the warmer weather when my natural oils tend to be on overdrive and they break through my makeup much more quickly throughout the day. I like starting out with something that's just a little bit more skin-like. So I've definitely been reaching for this foundation over the past month. A lot. All right, as for concealer, you guys are not going to be surprised. The Chantecaille Bio Lifting Concealer. I've talked about this concealer so much over the past month, ever since I tried it out. I traveled a bit this past month. I packed it. This has been my go-to concealer, and I promised that I was going to get back to you as to whether or not this toppled at that time, if this toppled my favorite concealer, which is the Suku Creamy Cover Concealer, and it does. It does. I find that the Suku is wonderful. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I still like to use that one. It has a little bit of a lighter texture. This concealer is just a little bit thicker. It has, I would say, very similar coverage to the Suku, but there's just something about the Chantecaille that makes my under eyes look like a little bit more snatched. Do people still use that word? But that's the only word I could think of, because it really does this, you know, perfecting, you know, with the coverage and all of that, but it really like smooths out my fine lines. It really does this like lifting action. It's wonderful. There are skincare like type ingredients in this concealer, and I feel like I can see it immediately. And now that I've been using this concealer like nonstop for the past, I would say for the past month, almost month, I'm seeing those skincare benefits even more. Like the fine lines under my eyes are virtually like just completely smoothed out from this concealer. So I love this. And I wear the shade Alabaster. And just a quick note on the shade range. So Chantecaille made this sort of in tandem with their Future Skin gel foundation, the one that comes in the jar. And so if you're Alabaster in that foundation, you would be Alabaster in this concealer, but the tone of this concealer is going to be a little bit lighter than the Alabaster in the jar foundation, because this is meant to be brightening. So if you want something that's like kind of like a perfect match to your foundation, you'd want to get the shade that's one deeper. And they have a whole chart on their website if you want to check that out. I like this whole like brightening situation. It's not a lot. It's not super dramatic. It is just, it's like a half a shade lighter than what you'll find in the foundation. But I really, really enjoy it. I love the coverage. I love the texture. I love how it wears underneath my eyes. It doesn't wear away strangely. And I do find my under eyes, the skin is just smoother from using this concealer. So big, big fan of this. And I have fallen in love with a new powder. Yes, I have. The Ilia Soft Focus Finishing Powder. And I got it in the shade medium. I think they have maybe 3 or 4 shades. There's one lighter than this, which I believe is just called light, but that one looked almost white, and I didn't want a powder that was gonna end up looking chalky on my skin. So I was like, let me just get medium. It will maybe give me a little bit of glow. This powder is so gorgeous. It is so gorgeous. It has a really, really beautiful sheen. I have this pretty much all over my face. I've set down my entire complexion with this. And I love the soft, soft satin finish that this pressed powder has. I purchased this because it reminded me of their Soft Focus Blurring Blushes. I think that's the full name. You guys know how much I love those Ilia blushes. I have pretty much every single shade. I love that blush. I like just go on and on about that blush. So when I saw this pressed powder, which looked like a very similar kind of baked product, I was like, if it has the same finish, which it basically does. It's not quite as satiny as the blushes, but it has that same idea. It is incredible. Soft Focus is the perfect name for this, and it really just sort of brings the foundation and the concealer home once I put this down. I also have been playing around with that whole, you know, transition blush look, and, you know, I haven't really done the whole look, you know, where I'm bringing the blush all the way like underneath my eye and like blending into my concealer or whatever. But there is a tip that Painted by Esther shares, which is basically using a powder to really soften up the blush application and really blow it out. And when you use this and you kind of use a puff and you just sort of tap it around the edges of your blush, woo, it really, really makes your blush look like just like clouds on your cheeks. Absolutely gorgeous. So I can't get enough of this powder. I've never used so much like powder in my life. And just to compare, I would say this has a little bit more of a satin sheen versus the Givenchy pressed powder versus the Sicily pressed powder, but not as much as the Say pressed powder, that other baked powder. You know, it's domed. That one has like a very evident kind of satin sheen to it. This one is a little bit more subtle, which is why I like this one a bit more. So anyway, that's the Ilia pressed powder in medium. So I've been playing around with a lot of bronzers, obviously, this past month, and there's one that I just started using that pretty much, I don't want to say blows all the other ones away, but I really, really like it. I like it more than the other ones that I've been using if I had to choose, and it's the Marc Jacobs Legally Bronze Bronzer. Are you guys as happy with this Marc Jacobs release as I am? I'm so happy with the products that he came out with. There's only one that I feel kind of lukewarm about, which we'll talk about later, but this bronzer is so good. The formula, it's so fine and it's so silky. So I do have it in the Fair Light shade. This compact is so much fun with the daisy here. It looks like a pillow. I love it. I love everything about it. It is the bronzer that I have on today, and it has just a slight peachiness to it. So there's a little bit of warmth without looking too orange, too yellow, that kind of like ochre kind of color that does not suit my particular skin tone. So I really like these that are kind of neutral, little peach leaning. Just absolutely gorgeous. It has a matte finish. So again, we're really leaning into that like skin-like finish. Everything just looks really blurred, really velvety. This goes on like a dream. And what I find so interesting about this powder is if you were to go in and finger swatch it, which is the first thing I did with this, it feels, I mean, super soft, right? It's a pressed powder. It feels super soft. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be one of those blushes where you jab your brush into it and like all this powder, there's just going to like kick up galore. And that didn't happen. So it's this really nice, super soft powder without actually being super soft. Did that make sense at all? But you know what I mean? There's those powders that are really, really soft. And as soon as you put your brush in there, it's like, poof, it's like a cloud of product. You feel like you probably wasted half of what's in the compact. It's a mess. And it does, it blends out really beautifully or whatever. This kind of has like the best of both worlds. Not super messy. There's a little bit of powder, when I put my brush in, but not as much as I thought. And it's a testament to this particular formulation. I don't know anything about makeup chemistry, but I don't know what they did here, but it is incredible that it feels so soft. It behaves so soft and so powdery, yet it's not actually that soft in the pan where it's messy. So anyway, just wanted to give a shout out to that. But this is gorgeous. I love it. It works beautifully. The tone is gorgeous. I love the packaging. I'm so glad Marc Jacobs is back. So yeah, all the good things. I cannot stop using the Violette FR Plume Blush in Latte Praline. So I was excited for this blush release. I had seen some teasers on Instagram, and then when I went to go purchase it, I was a little bit thrown off by the shades. I thought, oh my God, all of these look really, really like too deep for my skin tone, which is why I picked up this one. This is the only one that seemed like it would work for me. But now after using this blush, which is a cream to powder, it is stunning. It goes onto your cheeks like, it's so weird. Let me see if I can describe it because it's so weird in the best way. I like to apply it with a brush, and she actually came out with like a kabuki style brush with this particular blush. And so if you use a brush and you brush it on, almost like it's spreading out in water. That's how like creamy this formula is. And so you just like stroke the blush over your cheek and it like auto diffuses onto your cheek. It kind of spreads out and it just looks completely diffused, like almost like a watercolor. It's creamier than that, but it's absolutely stunning, absolutely stunning. And ever since I tried this blush, there really hasn't been many other blushes that have caught my attention, but I do want to get all of the other shades in this because I'm realizing too, because it has that kind of auto diffusion, those deeper shades that I saw, at least on Sephora, they're not going to be as deep as they appear in the pan. So I'm going to get them all because I love, love, love this formula. It's really, really incredible. And any product that can basically blend itself out is a friend of mine. So that is the Violette FR Plume Blush. Just stunning. And the other blush that I have been loving because it's a great pair to this Plume blush is the Guerlain Terracotta Blush. And I have it in the shade, 000 Pearly Beige. Now these are not new. I just never picked them up. They just look like basic blushes. They didn't look like they had any particular sheen to them. They were, just a pressed powder. So I passed on them when they came out, which I think was like last summer. But I decided to pick up this Pearly Beige because I was on the Guerlain site, yada yada. And this one actually, Pearly Beige, it has like a little bit of a pearly sheen to it. It is so pretty and it's such a great compliment to this. So I put this down in this really soft way and then I focus this basically on like the highlights of my cheeks or wherever it is that I want to highlight. And because this has a little bit more of like a soft matte finish, this with the pearly sheen just gives it a little extra glow and it gives it a little bit of dimension. Woo, this combo is so good. Both I've used alone. They're gorgeous alone as well. This one is really, really nice. If you do want something with a little bit of sheen, but together, it's like magic, absolute magic. So been loving this blush combination. As you guys know, when it comes to Dior and their highlighters, I always have like mixed opinions. I like some of their, part of their regular line, the one with the puffy silver top. Those like baked gel powder highlighters, I think those are really nice. The cream ones that come with the doe foot applicator, I do not like those. Very, very glittery, micro glittery. A lot of the limited edition highlighters that they come out with have a lot of micro glitter in them. They just, I don't know, they just end up looking really chunky on my skin. So when it comes to Dior and their highlighters, I'm always like, am I gonna like this? I don't know. So when I ordered these Dior Backstage Glassy Glow sticks, I was like, we'll see. We'll see if we like these. I love these. I love these so much. So I have Glazed Bubble. Yeah, Glazed Bubble. I have that on my cheeks. And they just have this nice, really soft, satin, very glowy, but kind of, dare I say, like natural, at least this shade, natural sort of highlight to them. And I remember when I tried this, someone in my comment section asked if these have micro glitters. Like a little bit when I go out into natural daylight, like you can see like maybe a little bit, but nothing like the Dior highlighters that have micro glitter in there. You know what I'm talking about. These are so much smoother. They're so much more elegant, and oh, I absolutely love them. I have just a light tapping of them here, and it's just a perfect complement to this more skin-like finish that I've been leaning into because, you know, if like your skin isn't that glowy and you have a super glowy highlighter on, it's just so obvious. It doesn't really like mesh well with the rest of your complexion. So with like the Ilia Soft Focus Blurring Powder and that YSL cushion or whatever, this is just such a gorgeous complement to those. They just work really, really well. So that is a Glassy Bubble from Dior. And I do want to warn you that these do have that very interesting kind of food inspired scent that the Dior blush sticks have. To me, they kind of smell like this odd, like mint chocolate chip thing. Does anyone else smell that? I mean, not minty necessarily, but there's a specific scent to like mint chocolate chip ice cream. And that's what these remind me of. Anyway, let me know down below in the comment section what you think that smells like. It's not as strong as the blush, but it is there. It is there. Okay, moving on. Okay, I wasn't sure if I was gonna mention these because they're not available online yet, but I thought let me just mention them so when they do come online, you know my thoughts and opinions on them. This is the Chanel Multi-Use Duo Stick, and I have all 3 shades. I did a whole video. This is part of the Chanel Summer Nights collection, and I like these. So there's a blush on one side and a highlighter on the other. And I'll link to that video down below if you want to see like a full demo on these, full demo and like swatches and everything. These have a very balmy texture. So these are very, very much like the Chanel Balm Essentiel formula. In fact, pretty much the same, like the highlighter. So they do have that emollients to them. They don't set down completely, but they're not sticky. So I don't think like your hair is gonna stick to them or anything like that, but there is an emollients. So I do wanna warn you on that. Someone asked me if the blushes were like their blush sticks, which I guess are discontinued at this point. So no, unfortunately, the blush side on these duo sticks are also balmy, and the blush sticks from Chanel, the ones that are discontinued, like number 20, 21, 22, 23, I think I had most of those. They had almost like a powdery feel to them, like a cream to powder feel to them. These are straight up like balmy. So I did want to just mention that since someone asked me that question, and I wanted to be sure you guys were well informed on the formula of these. But you know, if you like something kind of balmy, something kind of easy to throw on, it's a little bit fun, there's a little bit of glow to them, I think you'll really enjoy these. So just wanted to mention those, but yeah, they're not available on the site yet. And Alicia Archer here on YouTube, she made a community post, and I think she said June 16th that they're supposed to be available online. So anyway, keep an eye out on this space. Again, subscribe down below if you want to keep up on new releases. I post stuff to my community page also, and on Instagram. If you want to follow me there, I always put stuff on my stories. So anyway, those are the Chanel Multi-Use Duo Sticks. Let's move on to eyeshadows. Now, you knew I was going to talk about the Natasha Denona Tan palette, and that's what I have on my eyes today. This is one of her MIDI palettes, 15 pan palette. And we've got, you know, like a typical Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. We've got a bunch of different finishes. I think there's 4 different finishes in here, kind of split between mattes and metallics. Just a really, really gorgeous, gorgeous shade range. I think it's so perfect for the summertime. I think tan perfectly describes not just the shades, but also just like the mood of this. It's such a great, to steal from Chanel, it's such a great like summer nights kind of palette. Slightly dramatic, especially for someone with light skin tone. A lot of these shades are gonna be kind of dramatic. It's gonna give you kind of like a very sultry look. Of course, you know, you can put them on in a light way, which I tried to do today. I basically use these 2 shades, this shade, and this shade. And I was gonna go in with a deeper shade, and I was like, you know what, let's keep it kind of light. And I just added some eyeliner and mascara. So you can keep it light, but it is, I think, just a really, really beautiful, sultry, sexy kind of palette. And you know, I have so many like favorite Natasha Denona palettes. I Need a Nude, her Glam palette, her original 28 pan palettes, her original Sunset palette, the Lila palette. Like I could go on and on and on. I love, love, love Natasha Denona eyeshadows. And it baffles me that she keeps coming out with 15 pan eyeshadow palettes that I feel like I need. I know I probably have these shadows all somewhere else, you know, but to have them all in one place, for them to be Natasha Denona formula, which I do love. And I always manage to say this when I talk about a Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. Whenever I open them up, they're very, very inspiring. It makes me want to put on eyeshadow. It makes me want to try something different. It makes me want to play around with combinations. And I just love that. I love that about her palettes. So this is another winner from Natasha Denona. And another winner from the Marc Jacobs beauty line, these single shadows, which are called Born Star eyeshadows. Now, I do believe most of these are sold out. I'm so, so sorry, both on Sephora and the Marc Jacobs beauty site. But these are great. As soon as they're back in stock, I would definitely take the opportunity to at least try one, see if you like it. All of these are a cream to powder formula, so they all have like a really slick kind of feel to them. And then you can use your finger or a brush to apply them. I like using a brush, but they're really gorgeous. They're very, very easy to use, as I just used in my Marc Jacobs video. If you guys didn't catch that, definitely give that a watch, because I decided to use the tan palette today because these are sold out. But anyway, I really love Shady. Shade number 140 is this guy. It is one of the metallic shades, and I think you can probably see how creamy the shadow is, but it has such a gorgeous, smooth sheen. That's what I think I love the most about these eyeshadows, is how smooth they are. Look at that. Look at that, like just glides right over your skin. Absolutely gorgeous. So I do love that one. And I also love, for a matte shade, if you're interested, I love the shade On Brand. And in fact, I even mentioned this in the Marc Jacobs video, that if you don't want to get like a full-on 15-pan eyeshadow palette from Natasha Denona, you can get these 2 shadows and kind of create like a bronzy kind of look. Actually very similar to what I have on today. You know, you can use the matte shade all over and then just highlight with the shady shade. But the formula is really wonderful. So whatever color appeals to you, I think you're just going to enjoy it. The cream to powder is so smooth, so smooth, and really special. And I just really like how Marc Jacobs has relaunched his beauty brand, but it's very different from the original, from the packaging to the actual offerings. You know, these single shadows, very different from those really long eyeshadow palettes that he had in his original line. So I like that he took the opportunity to do something different, and these eyeshadows are different and in such a good way. So I absolutely love these. And this packaging is so cute. They just look like little helium balloons. I love them. All right, let's talk about lips. I got a lot of lips. Let's start with the Marc Jacobs, since we're talking about Marc Jacobs. Again, we've got just the cutest packaging here. Look at this heart. So I really love this shade in particular. The formula of the Marc Jacobs, what are these called? Something like heart lips, something like that. The lipsticks in the line. The formula is very nice. I don't think they're very special in any way. I didn't feel like, ooh, like I was trying something different. But I really do like this Blow Stick shade. And I will say this Blow Stick shade does feel a little bit drier than the other shades that I got. And these are supposed to be like a very moisturizing, like shine lipstick. This Blow Stick shade, I will tell you, is not that shiny, not as shiny as the other shades that I got, but I really, really like this particular lip shade. It's quite unique in that it's kind of neutral, a little bit warm leaning, and on my lips at least, it looks a little bit gray. So if you're kind of into that corpse lip, that concealer lip look, which I wonder if that's coming back since, you know, that was so big in the 90s and also in the mid 2010s. But this is such a great one, and it's a nice alternative. I would say it's a little bit paler even than Hung Van Gogh's number 88, which I know is sold out. You can try this one. It has like a very, very similar effect. But yeah, these are the colors that I love to use when I do like a more dramatic eye. And then, you know, to emphasize the eye even more, I just like, you know, putting on a nude lip. This is definitely going to be one that I reach for. So that is Blow Stick from Marc Jacobs. And then what I have on my lips are the Dior Glass Addict. Is that what they're called? Glass lipstick, the Dior Addict glass lipstick, sorry. So I have on shade 709. I'm sorry, I can't read these letters, but it's shade 709, and it's this bright, bright, slightly warm red. Now, when I tried these on for the first time and I spoke about them and I demonstrated them, I thought, and I misspoke, so I'm correcting myself here, I thought that these didn't come back down because they were that kind of lipstick that clicked up. Generally, those don't come back down, but this actually does come back down. So happy to report that, because that really bothers me when you have to like commit. When you raise the lipstick and you can't raise it down, I'm like, oh God. So you can lower these. Anyway, I was really on the fence about this formula because when I swatched them, they felt sticky, but they do not feel sticky at all on your lips. And they're just a really interesting formula because they are balmy. They do kind of end up feeling like a gloss, like one of those thicker kind of glosses on your lips, but nothing is heavy about it. Nothing is sticky about it. And it does have this like super high shine, yet it's not super soft. It's just a really, really interesting formula. Like something that looks this shiny in the tube. I don't know. I feel like it would be kind of messy on my lips or just like super soft. And it's not sticky at all. Like nothing. It's really cool, a really cool formula. So I've really grown to like these. I think when I first tried them, like I said, when I first hand swatched them, I was like, oh, these seem sticky. When I tried them on, I was like, oh, they're not sticky at all. And that's all I focused on. But the more I wore these, the more I like really appreciated how unique this formula is. So that's the Dior Addict glass lipstick. The other shade that I do like, by the way, is oh my God, my eyes, 184. It's Gem Dior, and it's this guy, which will just give your lips a little bit of like a milky kind of sheen to the lips. Really pretty. I'm gonna swatch this. There we go. Again, because of the unique formula, this is I think, a great shade to have in this formula because you get this super high shine and it gives your lips this like highlighted quality, but you don't have any goopiness, you don't have any of the strings, it's not sticky at all, it's not messy, it's not goopy. For something this high shine, it doesn't make me look like I'm drooling. Like, it's a really great shade to have in this formula. If you like just a little bit of like shine, a little bit of like filtering going on, I think you'd really like this Gem Dior. Yeah, Gem Dior shade. Okay, some other lip products that I've tried. Let me just give you my thoughts on them. So the Armani Prisma Flash Lip Balm. Do they call these lip balm? Yeah, the lip balm. So it's the ones that come in this packaging. Very sleek, very pretty. And the shade that I got is number 11. It's just this very natural kind of nude shade. I really like this formula. The shade is fine. It's a very like My Lips But Better kind of shade, so nothing really to report there. But this formula is very nice. It has no fragrance. It has just like the right amount of slip. There's a little bit of a shine to it. So it looks like a balm, it lives up to its name. It's like the most straightforward formula, the most straightforward product out of all of the lip products that I've tried. Just really like lives up to your expectations. It's very Armani, if that makes any sense. Like I feel like the Armani products are there to do a job. They're not there to be like super fancy. They're not there to like impress Instagram. They're not there necessarily to like blow up or become a viral product. They're just like rock solid, really rock solid. And this tinted balm is absolutely no different. It is what I would say like the perfect throw in your bag kind of balm because it's really pretty, it's really easy to wear, feels great on the lips, and it's just like a little something if you need like a little something. I did also try RMS's latest Legendary Lip Oil. Now I really, really love the Legendary Lip Oil formula. I think it's really great. This Chameleon shade is one of those like pH activated, color changing lip shades, and I think it's totally fun. It comes out green, and it slowly turns into this really like bright fuchsia. And I just tried this in the video for you guys that went up yesterday. I filmed it a little while ago, but it just went up yesterday. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I think it's great. The formula is really, really wonderful. It feels great on the lips, like the whole thing. It's a lip oil, but it's not too thin. But this color is just not a color that I'm gonna use very, very often. Just totally honest, I don't generally wear like hot pink lips very often, but I did just want to mention that since I did try this past month. But this is the shade that it ends up being, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and I think it is great for the summertime, and I do like this formula, but I just don't think I'm going to be wearing this too often because of the shade. I also tried the Louboutin, what are these called? Sorry, the Rouge Stiletto Glossy Shine. And I really like these. I really, really like these, despite the weapon-like appearance of the packaging. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. It's just very impractical. It's not a really great throw in your bag kind of thing. Anyway, I got 2 shades, and what I really like about this formula is that it really kind of feels like a glaze, like you're glazing your lips, in that it's just kind of sitting on top of your lips, but in a good way. I don't mean that, like, I don't think you want that in terms of like a foundation or like a highlighter. You don't want stuff just sort of sitting on top of your skin. But when it comes to lips, like I feel like I'm just like painting right on top of it with this formula. There's something very interesting about it. So there's, you know, a little bit of a shine, probably not as much as any of the other ones I just talked about. Yeah, probably less than everything I've talked about. Oh, except for the Marc Jacobs. So it has just a little bit, again, it's like a little bit of a glaze, but not too much of a shine. And it doesn't feel heavy on the lips, but there's a certain kind of thickness to them. They're very luxurious feeling. I don't know, Louboutin and Bond Number 9, which are lipsticks that I absolutely love. They have very, very unique lipstick formulas. There was another formula from Louboutin that came in the really bright refillable packages. This was years ago, and actually one got stolen out of my car, but they were the So Glow lipsticks, So with like a gazillion O's. So Glow lipstick, and those were meant to be like a lightly tinted kind of balmy lipstick, and those were really interesting too, but like in a really subtle way, not like these glass lipsticks from Dior, which is like very evident, like they're very different. I've never used anything like this. They're very shiny, blah, blah, blah. These are a little bit more subtle in their uniqueness. Let me just swatch the other shade that I got. Yeah, they're like uber creamy, but not super soft. So this is 1C and this is 4W. Yeah, really beautiful, really luxurious, really gorgeous kind of formula. It's like they kind of just cloak your lips. Really fantastic formula, and I really like these shades. I love, of course, I love that they came out with like a whole nude range. Okay, just some other things I wanted to mention that I tried over the past month. The Guerlain Pressed Powder. I don't know that I would consider these a total fail, but the fragrance is a complete turnoff. They're so fragrant, and it's almost like when I applied it to my skin, it felt like they got more and more fragrant. I don't know if the heat of my skin was like baking the powder in some way and like releasing the fragrance. I don't know what it was, but it was almost unbearable. I was relieved when I washed my face that evening. The powder itself is great. If fragrance doesn't bother you, if you like this particular fragrance a lot, you'll probably love this, but I couldn't stand it. And in fact, I have the powders. I usually just, store all my powders behind me. I can smell it with the compact close in the drawer, so I've had to put it elsewhere so that it doesn't just sort of sit back here in the corner. So it's unfortunate. I love the packaging. The powder itself, like I said, it's great. It's very mattifying. It's very nice. Does come in 4 shades. You get the really fun like meteorites pattern on there. Lovely. But the fragrance for me just kind of ruins it. The one product from the Marc Jacobs line that I tried that I found to be very mediocre is the mascara. So this is the the Flashes Lash Mascara. I got in the shade Cocoa and I had high hopes because it has a wand that I would typically like. It's got the plastic bristle wand and it just didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. You guys saw when I tried it out on the video, like my lashes they just like fell. I don't feel like they did that much volumizing. Like it didn't, I don't know, they didn't do much lengthening. It just didn't do much. I don't think they like ruined my lashes. I don't think it was awful or anything like that. It just didn't do anything for my lashes. So wanted to mention that. All right, the Jones Road Your Skin Foundation Stick. The shade that I got, I think is a little bit too deep for me. I think it works because, and this is the comment I wanted to make on this foundation stick, the coverage is so light. And I know that's really strange coming from me. I like light coverage foundation, but it still has to do something. It still has to be worth it for me to actually put it on. And this is so light that it doesn't even feel worth the time and the energy and the effort to actually put on. I don't know why. I don't know why this particular foundation is so light, or at least it comes across so light on my skin. Other than that, it's fine. It wears well. It gets a little bit glowier throughout the day. The texture is really great. I feel like if I got the right shade for my skin, maybe I'd like it a little bit more, but it's the coverage for me that really is just, it's like almost non-existent. And again, you would think that's something I would like, but it just, I don't know, it just didn't do anything for my skin at all. So the Your Skin Foundation Stick from Jones Road is just not for me. I wouldn't call it a fail because it's not like it did anything bad to my skin or anything like that. It just wasn't for me. Oh, one thing I think I forgot to mention, did I mention this? In the Dior Addict glass lipsticks, they have like a fruity scent to them. They actually remind me of the YSL, their lipsticks. They have that kind of very similar fruity scent to them. So I did want to mention that because I usually mention fragrance and stuff because I'm very sensitive to it. I know some of you are as well. So I didn't want to forget to mention that. All right, guys, that is it for this month's favorites, fails, and thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe down below. Definitely hit notifications if you are interested in my upcoming new makeup videos. They're going to feature the Chantecaille Real Bronze, the Lisa Eldridge Marilyn Monroe collection, and the new Orchid highlighting blushes from Sisley. Well, blush, I should say, because I only got one shade, number 1, from Sisley. So definitely subscribe down below and let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.